Hello, I'm alone in Finland. This is Eve Online, and I thought I would give you a little bit of an interesting one for actually making some money and kind of making it passively. Obviously, I've spent a lot of time kind of shitting on other people and the fact that they're saying, oh, this will make you millions and billions and all this jazz, and doing unrealistic timeframes. And I'm literally in the middle of making a video about somebody else who said that to me on the forums. And while I was sort of taking care of my industry, I thought actually I should show this because this is something that you can make money from. It doesn't require much effort, it doesn't require much in the way of skill investment, and I'll show you the process to get there. So let me show you first what I'm doing, and bear in mind I'm going to show you all of how my thought process went about, and then I'm going to show you the money making method. It requires initial investment, remember that, because obviously you need money to make money. The same in life as it is in Eve. However, this requires a very little upfront method, and you can get used to it and step up and step up and step up. So what happened to me recently is I came across a gate with a whole load of destroyed ships and some loot, and there's nobody in system, so I went, okay, I'll have that, and I went and looted a few of the ships, and what came up was a blueprint, not one of these, but one of these. So this is the one that came up, a one-run copy for the Kurzel, which is a Minmatar battle cruiser. It's quite funny this came up because I was having a long conversation on forums about it, and when I got this I was like, oh, I've actually got some of the stuff to make this, because I do a bit of industry myself. My main character's all over the place when it comes to skills, it's not specialised in anything, and I was like, oh wait, hold on, I've got the minerals, I've got most of the stuff here, I've got the auto integrities, the life supports, the only thing I need are these two things. So I jumped down the rabbit hole of producing some of this stuff, and I made one of these ships. Then I realised that they were being sold on the market for 47, well at the time it was 50 million, they're now down as low as 47 million. So I'll get to that quickly. But as I was doing this, I was going through this all, and I was just randomly thinking today, because this is a good method of making money if you're new to Eve, and not the blueprint, not this particular blueprint, because although I've sold a couple in the past couple of days, so I've got one there that sold for 600 million today, and I've got one that sold for 590 a couple of days ago, and I can't remember where the hell it is, so you can see where I got some plex, which was nice. But I've got some other stuff going on. But as I was making this, I was not familiar, because the industry system changed a little while back, a few years back, and I wasn't playing at the time, and I'm sort of having to relearn it for the battleships. I didn't recognise these two components, so let me go through them quickly, and this will lead us to the money making section. So when I was doing this, one of the first things you can do is, if you've got enough money and if you've got the skills, and that's sort of very specific, then sometimes you can find blueprints of particular ships in JITA, and I say JITA because it's the highest trade hub, like highest amount of trading of any trade hub. Other places don't always have the entire materials you need to do this, but sometimes you can take a blueprint, for instance the Kurzel, throw it into industry, and with your skills you will have a number here. So this is if you buy all of the stuff. Now this number, the total estimated price, is a price that is halfway between the buy orders and the sell orders. So what you actually need to do to see the price of it is to buy all inside the trade hub where you're going to buy it, or wherever you're going to buy it, and then have a look at how much it's going to cost you. So for instance, this says it will cost me 541 million. In JITA this would probably be about 570 million ish. However, today I actually bought a whole load of stuff for one of them, and it came in at about 530. Till I didn't buy it. I was going to buy it, but it came in more expensive than I wanted to spend. Now that isn't all you're going to spend. So remember, you've got your buy price, then you've got your blueprint price if you're buying that blueprint. If you've come across it on your own, that's a whole different story. If you've come across it on your own, you might be worth just selling it. Some people buy the blueprints and it can always come up, and this is something that you'll sort of see in the next video about something that somebody said, but a good option is to put it up in a contract. The problem with the contracts is you can't change the price. So once you put it up there, it's up there unless you cancel it, and you'll lose money for putting it up, and you'll lose more than putting it on the market. So that's something you have to be aware of, especially if you want something to sell quickly. If you're going to build it, your price is the price that you're going to pay for it, the price of the materials that you're going to need, and then the price of the facility you're going to build it in. Not all of them are equal. You have different prices for different places. These at the moment in Jita are about 5 million to build. And what happened for me was I got one of the blueprints and I bought the components I didn't have, which were these two Trigo Neuralink conduits. So I bought these 16 components, which as you can see is the most expensive part. You've got 274 million for the SR and 163 million for the GO. So they were very expensive to me. But I ended up making a little bit off of this. So I bought it, I built it, I sold it, and I made about 50 million in total. The price since then, and I am talking in days, so this is from Wednesday to Saturday today. The price for the profit margin between buying and building and selling is actually shifted at the moment, so that buying one of these is not profitable. Whereas a couple of days ago I had the one and I went and had a look at these and worked out the price. So I actually bought a blueprint, built another one and sold it. And between the two of them, I generated about, I think it was about 90 million. Essentially for nothing, because it's stuff that I had that I traded. It was a bit of time thrown in. So I generated 90 million. It's not much for most people, but it's 90 million that required sort of 10 minutes work. I picked up one of the blueprints on the way. I bought the other one in the thing. I threw it to build in Jita 4.4 with a higher build rate. So if I'd built it somewhere else, it would have been cheaper, but there would have been transfer time and all that jazz. But then once it was built, that was me a little profit margin off of it. Now, this is where it comes into sort of what I think is good for the viewer. So if you're a low skilled level, I want you to look at this, because the parts that we have here, so the parts fall into a few different parts. You have minerals, which we mine from asteroids. Now, for your minerals, most people are going to buy some of the minerals. Some people in low sec and some people in 0.0 can get all of the minerals for the particular things through their mining. But again, it's expense to reward. If you spend a couple of hours mining actively in low sec, you have to watch your security and things like this. It's time spent. So for a single player or a player that's not in a corp that's doing it at a lower level, it might not be worth that. For me, I mine in high sec, I mine a little bit in low sec, and I do occasional ninja mining into 0.0. I essentially generate tritanium, perite, mexalon, and noxium. What I don't generate is megasite, zydrine, isogen, or morphite, if that ever comes up. So I buy those three minerals, but I make so much in tritanium mining in high sec because I have one of my accounts that's just constantly active, or it was. It's actually not plexed at the moment, but it was constantly active in mining, that I have so much in ore stacked up there that I can just go and pull from that anytime I need and sell off the tritanium. If you are a miner, remember that tritanium is not the cheapest ore out of, not the cheapest mineral out of them all. It's actually about halfway up the spectrum for ISK per hour when you're mining for it. So mining in high sec is still a viable option if you want to swap it over. You just need to be far enough away that you don't have to worry about gankers or things like that. Come down south, that's the best thing I would say. Come down south, find a nice high sec system with very low traffic, and you'll be fine for the most part. I've never had a problem with gankers in the two main systems that I mine in, and both of them are 20 jumps away from Jita. I have been ganked in Heck though, mining, and in Norvakaiken mining, just because that's where the people are. Somebody actually ganked an orca right next to me. I saw all of the catalysts sort of come out of warp and thought, oh god, I'm dead, because they landed directly on top of me. They were literally surrounding me, but they were actually aiming at the orca, and there was about, I think maybe about 40 catalysts that took out this orca, and I'm sat there just going, I'm screwed, I'm screwed. I'm aligning to warp, and I got away. They weren't aiming at me, it was just sheer luck that I got away. But poor guy lost his orca in one hit. So something to be aware of for the miners. Now, down here we have other components. So we have the life support backup units and auto integrity preservation seals. Now these, if we just throw these into industry, these are made from blueprints, and they are made from, this is a reaction material, you can see that by this little sign. So this particular reaction material requires some gases from moon mining plus some fuel cells that are then reacted into these components that are then put together and reacted into your carbon fibre. So it's a bit of a long thing. Now I personally have all the stuff for doing this. Unless you're weirdly hyper focusing or you enjoy the boring side of Eve, just ignore it, buy it off of Jita Market. Planetary interaction, test cultures and viral agents are both tier 2 level things, so they are not much effort to do. What I would say is, if you're going to do PI, in fact I might show you, in fact I will show you. So I'm moving my stuff, so this is one of mine at the moment. It's badly set up because I'm not good at PI, I just do this passively. But what I've got here is we have a little drilling rig. So these have programs that are installed, they run every 2 days. Every 2 days is your best cycle time for the amount. The longer the cycle time, you decrease how much you install, you get out of the ground. So it's best to do it every 2 days and reset it, just log on and reset it every couple of days. That's available for me. If you're only on once a week, then throw it to that once a week. But so we are mining, this one is mining for microorganisms. That gets thrown into this little industrial facility, which takes our microorganisms and makes them into bacteria. Up here we are mining for, we're actually mining for two things, because one of these is taking out aqueous liquids. Oh, they both are. That's turning the aqueous liquids into water. That comes down here into the next level reactor that takes the water and the bacteria and produces test cultures. These get thrown into here. As you can see, I've got two wasted cargo spaces because I set this up wrong and I haven't corrected it yet. But from this, you can then take these test cultures, go to launch, and what you'll do is you'll just grab the test cultures, launch them to the orbital planetary infrastructure stationy thing, that's, which name has forgotten me, and you can go and pick them up whenever. But you've got tons of storage in here. And this is a good way to generate some passive income as well. I've not done a video on PI, I've not planned one, maybe I will at some point, but I'm not very good at it. So I make some of the stuff from PI that I need. At the moment I'm not actually making viral agents because I'm shifting some stuff around, but I did make them in the past, and it's just these two together makes this. So you can generate these yourself just over time and then just run a whole load of life support units as you want. It's much the same in this, plastics and nanites. Nanites is one of the best things that you can create. As you can see, I've got them here. These kick at about 5 million a week for me, doing them in high sec, so definitely worth thinking about. You can just sell these on the market on their own. As you can see here, there's tons of people selling, tons of people buying, and the buy price is kind of solid, so it's always something you can get. But I do them with carbon fibre and react them into what I need. Then we get to these things. Now I had to learn this, and this is where I think it's good for you. So SR trigger neural link conduits. Each type of thing that you build has a different type of these. The faction stuff usually has one or two different types of these. So for instance, we have the SR and the GO here. If I just go into the GO, there's a particular component. So these are reaction components, and then these are the higher level reaction components. How does it say it? It calls them items, but these things are made from reactions. As you can see down here, I have one of the blueprints. I have two of the blueprints. So that's the goal orientating neural link stabilizer is a reaction that I've got here. So this takes gas, and then this particular AV composite is something you get from exploration. Now, it's actually these that I want to have a look at, and this is what I recommend. So if you're looking for money, this is a cheap way of doing it, but you have to go to low sec. So you need to find a place to be able to do these reactions. When it comes to these places, you're looking for either a Tatra or I've forgotten the other name of them. What's the one that I'm in at the moment? Oh, it is a Tatra that I'm in at the moment. What's my other place? There we go, an Anther. Athnor. I can never say these names right. But you're looking for these, and these will have particular modules. So here we have the reactor modules. As you can see, they've got stand-up, composite, hybrid, and biochemical. Now it's the biochemical that you're looking for these ones. It's a little bit higher level / different level. But as you can see here, you need fuel blocks, you need 2 types of gas, and you need the AV composites to make these things. Now, this I think is the best way to make some passive income in EVE, and it constantly expands. The reason is, if you look at the buy price, remember the buy price is the median between sell and buy, but the buy price is 7 million and the sell price is 10 million. And if you actually look at the reaction cost, it's 247,000. So for about 7,400,000 you are getting 10,333,000 out. If you take off sell prices, you're basically looking at about 10 million ish, maybe a bit less depending on how good your market skills are, but that's, call it 8 million. For investing 8 million you get 10 million out, so you've got a 20% increase every time you do it, and it's standard. Now these things change value all the time, and it's a good thing to have a look at. If you're not watching this video in 2024, or if you're watching it sort of September 24, check the prices beforehand. And when I say check the prices, go to JITA, sit in JITA, and right click on this price, hit buy missing materials, and look at how much it's going to cost you for the combined, all of these, buy all materials, and look at what price comes up here. And then again, right click on this and view market details for this particular one, and see how much it is, if you're willing to sell it or if you just want to throw it away quickly to the buyers. This is the best way to do it, and it requires reactions. So the reaction skill, I've got it at 5, but the actual skill, as you can see here, it's a reduction in time, not like skill or amounts. So it's the station that sort of changes the amounts needed, but not by much in general. So all you need is reaction 1 to create these. So it is a skill that can be trained in 14-15 minutes. And then you can buy the stuff, take it to a low sec station. Obviously I've showed you bookmarks and things like that for going through. I would advise a cloaky if you're going through low sec, or just doing it in low amounts. There's also having an alt and doing things like that. Whichever method is safer for you. There's also the way of just finding a place like Amamaki that it has a direct link to high sec that for some weird reason is almost never camped. They camp the other sections in this because it's a faction warfare system. So they camp the other gates, but they never camp the entrance. I've never seen ships at the entrance as they're coming in and out. That'll probably change now that I've put this out there, but this is my advice. Res Barocco is 2-3 jumps off of Heck, but Heck isn't a good market hub for this type of thing. There isn't much of these being sold in there. However, it is a sort of safe place to enter because it's a faction warfare system and it's not really heavily contested, so you should be able to get in there and out of there fairly fine. Do it in smaller ships. Matari Probe is a good one because you've got the bigger cargo. Don't go for industrial straight away until you've got the skills to really sort of boost in them. And see my other videos about sort of going through low sec and things like that and the times to do it. But this is one that will then earn you a 20% increase almost every time you do it at this moment in time. So I thought I would put it out there with all of the other information. There's a few other, that's the Sensi heuristics. What are the other ones? So if we just have a look at, if we just change my system to show all available. View market details, throw it back into this. So the ones that I've been using for the Matar stuff is the Cogni. So that's this. Obviously you can see I'm building it in bigger runs. I was actually doing it in runs of 15, although I actually only needed 14 for the components because that's how many. I need 280 for the thing that I was building. But at a higher level I'm putting in 200 million, I'm getting out 260 million ish, so 255 million with cost, market costs. And you can, I'm putting up buy orders, so I'm getting it for a little bit less. So if you put up the buy orders and slowly accumulate the stuff, and then that'll give you a little bit extra profit margin, and then you just build the stuff at your own pace. It's something to do. What is the other one that I'm using? So I've got the sensory heuristic there. Oh, the other ones are these. I've actually got them right here. So again, these are two gas materials, and then this comes from exploration. But this is one where I'm putting in sort of 22.5 million, 22.7, and getting out 33.6. So getting out about 33 after expenses of sale, for the amounts that I'm needing. And when I noticed how big the profit margin was in this particular section, I thought I'd show you that, because as I'm doing it, I'm actually building these carousels, and as I said, I'm buying. I got one for free, but I bought one, and then I bought another and another. And at the moment, if you just take this blueprint, when I did it on the first day, I built one, but then because I got the blueprint for free, and then I bought the second one, and with the price of buying it, because you've got to remember, you're counting, if you're going to buy something straight off of contracts, you are paying the contract price, you are paying the material price, and you're also paying the manufacturing price, which is here. And I was building them straight in htis, and the manufacturing price was about 5 million, but I was still making a profit. Obviously I made a profit off of the first one, but I was making a profit off of the second one while I was doing it. However, when I checked it today, buying one, even though they're a couple of million cheaper, and then buying the materials, I can't make a profit off of just buying the materials. And even just buying these SR trigger Neuralinks and the GO trigger Neuralinks, I can't make a profit off of them either, but I do make a profit on this particular part of them. I also make profit down here because I've got these things set up to build already. But this, the Neuralink enhancers for the different parts, is one for each of them. So that takes a Sensei, this one takes Cogni. But these ones are profit at the moment, so if you just sell these particular parts on the market, you'll make a bit of money. So I thought I'd show that off as something that you can do right now. Obviously we are in the beginning of February in 2024, and these things change. So take it with a pinch of salt, don't buy anything until you've checked everything, and remember when you're doing this, all of your expenses. So because you don't want to buy this, like say for instance, buy a blueprint, throw your blueprint into here, and then go, oh look, this is the price, forgetting about how much you've made here, build something, sell it, and then all of a sudden you've actually lost money on it. But for those that can do it, it's definitely worth doing. And there's sort of different parts and different bits that you can sort of look at, so it's just a case of looking down the list of things. Now I know for a lot of people, just industry in general is dull as you can get. For me it's kind of interesting because it's kind of finding a puzzle to get stuff like that. And I was set up as a big manufacturer capital stuff long ago, sort of 5 years ago, before they changed everything. And the way that they changed it, I needed to actually learn 2 extra skills and have a whole load of extra fun going on to do this. Now the last thing that's on this is actually because of a particular commenter, and it was somebody was asking about my setup. And yeah, so because I've usually got sort of this middle section of the screen here is what's shown. Just for your man that was asking, this is how wide my standard screen is. So I've got your sort of usual stuff, system info up on the left, all the buttons on the left. I've got local and corporate chat, and then I have active ship. I don't know why two of them keep coming up, but the active inventory is always here. I've got two other channels that I use semi-regularly, so EDI public is a good one if you want to hunt triglavians or do stuff in Poxfin. Eve Trave hubs is a good one to have open in general, because you can do quick price checks and things like that. Just give somebody a shout and they'll give you a price check and a trade hub. Lots of friendly people in there. Then I have my personal assets, and I also have my locations, because if I'm using any of these stuff, those two are always permanently open. And I put the planetary window up there because I can do it while I'm travelling. PI costs you almost nothing. It costs you a little bit of money to install, but you're probably looking about a month to make back the money from the first one if you're doing it in high sec and not making much. It'll take about a month to make back your money, and then after that you're just going to generate profit, so it's definitely worth doing. I actually generate about, per location, each location was about 9 mil to set up, and they generate about 2 mil every 2 to 3 days, so definitely worth having. It's not much and it's a little bit of extra stuff, and as I say, you can do it. Literally I can refresh the site while I'm warping between systems. It's usually how I do it, while I'm jumping internal system, should I say. I have my overview and the stuff on the right hand side, and my drone box is usually down here below that second overview. Something that not many people realise is that you can have multiple overviews open at the same time. I have this because of, you'll see it in the next video, but that's why I have this particular second overview. But when I was doing Cap Swarm and I was doing capital ships, sort of carrier repair and stuff like this, before they brought out the bigger logistics ones, I would have one overview that was enemies and one overview that was all the friendlies. So I've used sort of multiple ones, and then over here you can see I've got the D scanner open permanently for me because I'm usually in dodgy situations, and I've got the probe scanner open permanently as well, just to see what's around about. I don't want to get rolled by a wormhole opening coming into my system, even though I'm in high sec. Sometimes I'm mining, sometimes I'm doing other things, and I don't want sort of day trippers coming in from wormhole space and doing stuff like this. The other thing that I would say is, if you're doing, go back to the first part of it, if you're doing the industry stuff, set up in Caldari space fairly close to Jita. There are obviously multiple trade hubs throughout the game, but Jita is the highest trading hub, and it's where you will find the majority of these, and the price in Jita affects all of the other ones. So if you were to, for instance, set up in Heck, I put a Kinzel up for sale in Heck at the same time, or roughly the same time as one that I put up 2 days ago, and the thing still hasn't sold. It's just sat there, and it's actually 20 mil cheaper than the Jita price, but it's just sat there because very few people are looking for those sort of things. For me, I sell a lot of smaller craft. I do high volumes of smaller craft down in Jita when I'm sort of building that stuff, so lots of frigates and things like that that geared toward faction warfare, but there's not it's unfortunate, but Jita is the main trade hub, and a lot of the systems around about there are sort of geared towards it, so you'll have more refineries and things like that. If you have a look at my industry, looking for things that do reactions, at the moment I'm in Hemitar, and there is that one one station, one player owned station in Hemitar that does reactions. There is also one only in what's the region? Minmatar region? Metropolis. So Res Barocco is the only one that's in Metro. So there's not many down here, but there's about 20 or so up by Jita. So it's a better location for you if you're doing that. But with that comes more danger dropping into low sec. The reason Amamaki is so good is because you can jump in and jump out. Res Barocco is the same. There's very seldom guards or pirates or whatever you want to call them that are on the low sec systems around about there. so it's a good place to hop in and hop out nice and safely. Obviously for me that isn't too big an issue because I've got the blockade runner. If you are interested in doing any industry, a blockade runner is a must. The thing is fantastic. The other industrials are good because of the warp core stability, but I've been locked down before more than once with people who have had the ability to project more than 4 points of scrambling at the same time. So I got locked by somebody who had a 5-point scram on a frigate, and at one point I got locked by 2 separate cruisers at the same time that were double double warp disrupting, and they just grabbed me. I couldn't get away. I didn't lose any of those because I managed to get back to the gate and then play a little bit of gate games, getting through and back and bouncing off with a cloak. But a cloak is a sort of necessity. If you're going to do this, it's a bit riskier earlier on, but once you get a blockade runner, you're essentially safe as long as you're paying attention. That changes if you're going into nullsec. Then you need to get your introduction nullifiers and get used to using those. But yeah, this is the best way in my opinion. So I hope that's interesting. I hope that's a bit of help, and I hope that's something that somebody can make a bit of money off of. Obviously a 20% increase in your money is a fairly good increase, and it's something that's good to do. Remember not to spend all of your money, not to put absolutely everything into what you're doing, because you will need money to pay the seller's fees. The last thing that you want to do is put money in and then not have the ability to sell the stuff afterwards. So remember and keep a bit back. I would say always maintain about a quarter of your wealth as liquid at any time. It's a good idea just for buying and selling in general. But yep, thanks for watching. I hope that's interesting, and fly safe. Bye.